mighty run! Hello and welcome back to this channel. This is one of 30 BMW E92 M3 special editions, and here's why I think it's one of the best that money can buy. So welcome to one of 30 BMW E92 M3 performance editions. So let me tell you a bit of a story about this. Back in 2012, the M3 was well into its life cycle at this point, and the Olympics were happening in the UK. So BMW, to commemorate that, made 30 special edition E92 M3s. 10 were red, 10 were white, and 10 were blue. They were all painted in what they call frozen, or matte paint to you and me. And according to a website, this is one of 5 Monte Carlo frozen blues left in the country, which is quite special really. Now, other features that this car came with, aside from the paint job, include the competition pack. So that gives it EDC, which is adjustable damping. You've also got adjustable traction control, or upgraded traction control from the standard car, and the suspension sits 10mm lower. You've got a special little engraving on the dashboard. You've got black leather seats with stitching to match the colour of your car, satin black wheels, you've got black grills, you've just got a few little trinkets and nice bits, which really sets it off. I just think it is such a nice place to be. So this car came with 2 different gearbox options. You had a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed DCT. Now, I personally think the 7-speed DCT is the favoured gearbox. I drove a 6-speed manual one of these last year, and it sounded incredible, it looked incredible, but I didn't really feel like it went anywhere. It just sort of left me feeling a bit cold, and for that reason, whilst I was going to go and buy one, I then decided not to and bought an E46 and lost a shit ton of money on it. But the DCT completely changes the characteristics of this car, in my opinion. Okay, it's not going to be as engaging on a country road to drive, and you're not going to feel as involved in the experience, but 9 times out of 10, a DCT is actually probably the better gearbox. It's a quicker change, you can leave it in drive for the majority of the time, so when you're stuck creeping through traffic, you haven't got to worry about your left leg coming off. You've also got the flappy paddles, so you do have manual control. We're sitting in drive at the moment, but if I flick it down, it goes into 6th gear, flick it down again, into 5th, into 4th, hear the revs rising, and then suddenly you're away. Tell you what, let's do a pull, just for the video. Ready? Yep. Such a yobbo's car, this. What a cracker. Now, the engine in this car is something really special. So it's the S65 V8 engine from BMW. It actually derived from the V10 that they put in the M5, which is in turn derived from Formula One technology that they were using with Williams at the time. So it's quite a special sort of unit. I absolutely love the engine that is in this car. 4-litre naturally aspirated V8. It's not the sort of engine that's going to punch you in the back with a massive kick of torque, but it's a more gradual sort of wave, and I think it's really lovely. Now, there'll be a lot of people that will say the S54 3.2 straight 6 that comes in the E46 is a better engine. Now, I think it's all perspective, isn't it? And I think it's all a matter of opinion. So I'm not going to sit there and try and sway you either way, but I think the engine in this car is an absolute masterpiece. You can find one that's been maintained and well looked after. I don't think you can go far wrong with this. The disadvantage with it compared to the E46 is that it's about 100 kilos or so heavier than that car, so it doesn't feel quite as light and agile on its feet. It's a matter of opinion. I like them both equally. I love the E46, but I have to say the E92, especially in this performance edition spec, has really grown on me. Probably a good idea to talk about some of the preventative maintenance that comes with this S65 engine. Now, if you've got an E92 M3, you'll be well aware of this. If you're looking at buying one, something you need to know if you're not aware of it already, rod bearings are particularly important on this car, and they're a serviceable item. You have to treat them as such. Every 60,000 miles or so, you need to get the rod bearings replaced. The reason being that they get too hot and it can cause engine failure. Also, throttle actuators, something to keep an eye out for as well. So essentially, the throttle actuators have got gears inside of them. Over time, they start to fail and break down. What that will do is it will stop the control you have of the throttle, and it will send the car into limp mode. It's a particularly big job to get it fixed, and make sure that you've got some paperwork for it. Be sure that you're confident in what you're buying. One other thing I'm not such a fan of in this car is the iDrive system. The reason being that it just seems a bit unnecessarily complicated. Like if you want to go into the M mode and adjust a couple of bits. So if I go into M drive and then I go and change EDC Sport. Okay, so I press Sport and I've done that, and then you click accept, and then you have to go back, and it sends you back into the previous menu that you were in. So you go into it and then it goes into it again, and you're like, hang on a minute, I've just got to press back on here and then I'm back to where I was 2 minutes ago. I just find it a little bit frustrating. One thing I would recommend if you get one of these cars is get a CarPlay module, because it will just make such a big difference. It will completely modernise it. You can have Google Maps and Spotify and so on it, and they're actually not that expensive. I had a look round for it. If you want to get the kit, it's about 500 quid, probably another 300 quid to get it installed. So 800 quid, maybe a bit less depending on where you shop around to all in. To bring this car up to 2025 spec, you can't really go far wrong. Another thing I absolutely love about this car is the sound system. The Harman Kardon in BMWs is always, and in this, no exception. It is really wonderful, and it's a really good cruiser, this car as well. I did a long journey in this over the course of the weekend, and it felt like driving a normal 3 Series, to be honest. It was comfortable and calm and civilized, and then you push the button that says M on the steering wheel. I mean, what do you want? It's just fantastic. Push one button, drop a cog, and just enjoy the symphony of that V8 engine mated to what is an absolutely superb chassis. What a car. Now, I love the looks of this M3, as I've said, on the outside, but I also love the interior as well. It's so logically laid out in BMWs. Everything's where you would expect it to be. Some people will say it's a little bit boring, but I think that it's laid out exactly as it should be. We've also got an Alcantara steering wheel, which is unique to the Performance Edition, which I think sets it off quite nicely. And sat here looking out of the windscreen, you're looking over a big bulge in the bonnet, which is harnessing this 4-litre V8 engine, and you just get the sense that you're sitting in something a little bit special. I think it's just a really wonderful place to be. Now, being a special edition car, you might think, I don't want to put any miles on that, but the owner of this car has done. It's done 85,000 miles in its lifetime. They've owned it for 8 years. It had stacks of paperwork with it, and she actually dailied it for a good few years, driving it to and from work as well. And I love that, the fact that this is a special car, but she's not been afraid to drive it. And I think that's wonderful, because I've had cars like that before where you've got them and they've got low mileage on. You think, well, I've got to keep the mileage low because it will keep the value up. And I don't know, it's a bit like saving your wife for the next bloke. It doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. Can we get away with that? Can that go in? So we're driving downhill now, and that brings me on to my next point, which is the brakes. Oh no, we lost the camera. Oh no. The E46 M3 as standard came with single pot calipers, believe it or not, and I made it a mission of mine to upgrade those. However, they learned from their mistakes, and on the E92 they're so much more responsive. You can really stamp on them. The pedal response is a lot more positive, and you get a lot more initial bites, which just makes it a lot more confidence inspiring to drive. So though it's a heavier car, which warrants bigger brakes on it, I think that they are just really, really good. That's a real plus point for me on this car. So we were driving on an A road just back there, which leads me to one of the things I don't actually like so much about this car. It's geared quite short. You can change up and down. You've got sort of torque pretty much everywhere you need it to. But on the motorway, you're sitting at about 3,000 RPM at 70 miles an hour, which isn't particularly drony because this car's got a standard exhaust on it, but it does mean that it drinks fuel. It says it was doing 26, 27 miles to the gallon on the motorway. Now, I guess buying a car like this for its fuel economy is a bit like buying a porn film for the plot. It doesn't really make much sense, but it's a bit annoying, the fact that you have to, think about filling it up because it's got a fuel tank that's the size of a pipette. The seats are great on track, but they've got these really tight side bolsters, and I don't know whether it's just me. They're as far out as they'll go, but I still feel quite hemmed in. Also, the steering wheel. BMW have got a real habit of having particularly girthy steering wheels the size of a bloody Bratwurst, and it's exactly the same here with this one. It just leaves you with a little bit less feedback than I think you'd like. I don't know, I don't feel like I can wrap my hands around it quite as much as I would like to. Oh yeah, and I haven't really been able to find a driving position that works for me. Normally what I want to be when I'm sat in a car, I put my arm out and I've got sort of a slight bend and my wrist is on top of the steering wheel, and I'm just, I don't know, a centimetre 3/4 of a centimetre away from that. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but it just changes how your feeling of the car is. So we're now on a B road. We've got a little bit of clearness in front of us, so I've just stuck it into M mode, so everything is in the harshest setting basically. The EDC, the suspension, is at the stiffest, the traction control is backed off, the steering's in its heaviest mode, the throttle response has opened up, and that mated with this V8 engine and the 7-speed DSG gearbox. It is just such a fun experience to drive. I really, really do love it, and I can see why people hold these cars in such high esteem. Into the roundabout. Oh, rear starting to slip a bit. Are you all right there? Are you all right?
I just adjusted this, man.
Sorry. I think that this is going to be a proper future classic, and at the moment it is the right time to buy an E92 M3 because they are never going to get as cheap as they are right now. You could pick up a pretty ropey one for 13, 14, 15 grand if you're careful. You could pick up a really nice one for about 21, 22. The E92 M3, it's never going to be as cheap as it is now. Go and buy one before it's too late. Please like, comment and subscribe. Take care. See you again soon.